All right, I think we are. All right, hi everyone. This is Uma coming to you live on Monday, June 29th with a little talk about life as a psychic medium. This is absolutely a Q&A. And I hope that you guys can hear me. I hope that you're watching. I'm going to go ahead and just stream this to Facebook as well. So just give me 1 second. If you're here and you're watching me, please say hello so I can know that this is working. And if you can, please like my video to show your support. I'd really appreciate that as well. All right. I think I have shared it everywhere. All right, so we're getting ready to talk about life as a psychic medium. I want to thank you guys so much for joining me on this live chat. Thank you for just taking the time to want to come on in. And it is an interactive chat. It's a Q&A. So let me know what you guys think, what questions you have, and how I can help you. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Uma. I'm the owner of the Lotus in the Light Metaphysical Center in Northern Virginia. I've been the owner of this center for 11 years. And in that 11 years, I've done a lot of work. I've personally conducted over 10,000 client sessions. I've taught many classes, had hundreds of students come through my center. So the beautiful thing about experience is that you learn a lot. You learn a lot about yourself, and you also learn a lot about people. You get a lot of awareness. And specifically for me, I got a lot of awareness in terms of the work that I do, the psychic, the mediumship, the energy healing. And it was very helpful in getting me to understand certain things that, wasn't really being talked about. So I wanted to come on here and talk about some things that I struggle with or just have to deal with as a psychic medium and what life would be like. Because trust me when I say it's not a normal life. It really is not a normal life. So I want to share from that aspect as well. So one of the first things I want to say is that life as a psychic medium is extremely difficult because I am super, super, super sensitive. How many of you can relate to that? Show of hands. Sometimes I feel like when I do these live videos, like I'm talking to myself. I'm extremely, extremely super sensitive. And because I didn't know that I had the abilities that I have, I would be categorized unjustly by many people because they couldn't understand me or understand where I was coming from, if that makes sense. So it would just be like, oh, Uma is snobby, or Uma is rude, or Uma is arrogant, or all these other things. So I spent a large part of my life growing up being called all these labels, and none of these labels applied to me. Now I know what you're thinking. You're probably like, oh, well, she's just unaware. She really is rude or snobby or, arrogant, possibly. That's one way of looking at it. But honestly, for myself, I just felt I was so misunderstood because I was fighting my own inner demons while people were judging me. So for the people that were calling me snobby when I was growing up, I really was just introverted. And I really just liked my company and was shy around other people. Now, it doesn't look that way because when I get around people, I will just start like acting up and being loud and all this other kind of stuff. But the thing was that it was a show. It was a show because I was highly uncomfortable around people. I don't know if you guys can relate to that, but it was just really highly uncomfortable being around people. So I would just make a big show of things. So that was the one thing. I really wasn't snobby. I really loved everybody equally. I just had problems relating to people. Uma's arrogant, like, she thinks she's better than us. No, Uma really does not think she's better than anybody. In fact, I think everybody else is better than me. And it's one of those things, again, me being super sensitive, would just have to deal with within my life. So if you felt like I'm arrogant, I understand, I don't feel that way. I really just feel that other people are way better than me. And in terms of Uma is rude, I can see why people would say that, because the thing is that I have a real issue connecting to people, talking to people when I'm shifting lanes. And that's the way I call it, shifting lanes. Because when I do any sort of work, whether it's like a demonstration or a gallery reading or an event, or just a one-on-one reading, whenever I have to shift out of this dimension and go to the other dimensions, I need some time to recalibrate. And many times people will try to talk to me while I'm recalibrating. And then I will have not as much patience as I normally can have when I'm talking to people or just in conversation. So then I get like real scratchy, and then in being scratchy, it's like people are like, oh, she's so rude. And I will apologize to you right now if you ever were caught in the crosshairs of that, if you were one of those people that were caught up in that, and you didn't really need to be caught up in any of that. So those are some of the things that you want to be aware of if you are a psychic or a medium, is that you are super sensitive. And the way people classify you, it took me a very long time to understand that they can only classify me based off of their point of view. They had no idea what I was going through, what I was struggling with. So all the names, I started to learn to accept them because it gave me insight into how I was appearing to people. And it gave me so much more understanding into, this is what you need to address, Uma, this is what you need to work with. So yeah, life is really hard as a psychic medium because of the sensitivity levels. I haven't quite grasped how to live within the sensitivity because I am super, super sensitive. I could be in a room full of people or with one person, and I already start to know, see, feel, and understand what they're going through. And many times, like 90% of the time, I take it on as my own. Even though I'm a spiritual teacher and I have very good boundaries, you can't help it. There's this empathy you have for people where you're just like, I don't want you to suffer. I want to understand what you're going through. I want to feel what you feel so I can understand you and your pain. And then you just kind of go down that road. So those are some of the things that I find are interesting as a psychic medium. My partner likes to say the price of being sensitive, the price of being sensitive is being sensitive, meaning it's great to be sensitive. We can do all these amazing readings and healings, but then when it comes time to like live your life, it gets really, really hard because you're sensitive. Hey, Jen, thanks for dropping in. So those are that's one of the things that I find being a psychic medium is it's really hard with my sensitivity. Another thing that I find is a difficult thing as a psychic medium is that I can tell when you're lying. How many of you can do that, right? You can tell when people are lying. And sometimes people are lying so barefacedly, in front of you, right? Jen's like super sensitive over here. Oh, let me turn that on. That's probably you. And sometimes people like lie so barefacedly to your face. You're like, you almost want to believe them. You almost want to be like, you must be telling the truth because you are so committed to it. But you can tell when people are lying. So that's another hurtful thing about being a psychic medium, because when people are lying to you, that they really want you to believe that what they're saying is true. It's not true. And you just feel disappointed. You get disappointed a lot by people because you feel like, what was the point of lying to me? Was it worth it? Was it worth it? I thought I meant more to you than you treating me this way. So I've seen a lot of my friends who are psychics and mediums, and they know people are lying to them, but they don't want to admit that. So they tend to like believe what people are telling them. And they'll say to me like, he's right? Like that's what, and I don't weigh in because I know where this is going to go. If I call them out and I say, well, he's lying to you, they're not going to want to hear that from me. And they're not going to want to take my, they're not going to want to take my word on over that person. They're going to stay with that person. I'm going to be the bad guy. And then finally, when they finally end it with that person, they'll come back to me and be like, oh, you were right. He was lying and blah, blah, blah. The thing is we do it. I think we do it a lot of the time, don't we? Like we tend to want to believe what other people are telling us over our own inner guidance. I don't know why we do that. I really don't. I don't have any answers for you for that because I've done that myself many times where your inner guidance is telling you something, but then people are telling you something different. And then we tend to believe the people over our own inner guidance. Where does that lead us? Of course, it leads us down a road of pain is where it leads us, right? So that's another thing about being a psychic medium is that you can really tell when people are lying or they're not being truthful with you. And that's why you find like a lot of psychic mediums don't have a lot of friends. They tend to be alone. It's not because they're not friendly or they don't want to hang out with people. It's because they already know what you're thinking and they already know what you're doing. And if you're not on the up and up or vulnerable or truthful with them, they don't want nothing to do with you. Jen's like, yeah, that's the truth. I know that's how it is for me. I just tend to pull away from people when I start to feel the vibe change. And then sometimes too, as a psychic medium, I will feel the vibe change with a friend before I realize they're lying to me. Hi, Penny. Good to see you. So let's say I have a friend and we're doing fine. We're chilling. We're vibing. Everything's good. Then I start to feel how it works for me is I feel the vibe change first. And then I get upset because I know what's coming next. What's coming next is we're not going to be in alignment soon. And I don't want that. I fight it. How many of you have fought it, right? You're like, no, I don't want this to end. But then it eventually comes. And then finally the person shows out. And it might be a week later, it might be a month later, but the person shows out. And then you understand why the energy starts leaving. So what do I do now? I start honoring it when the energy starts leaving now. It's taken me 20 years to get here because in the beginning I would feel the energy leaving and then I would still want to be around this person. So then I would be like, okay, I'm going to hang in here. And then it would just get really, really bad. But now when I feel the energy leaving from people, I don't even say goodbye to them. I just start to kind of like remove myself out of their life a little bit. And then, just kind of ease on out because the energy is just not there. Pete says, define psychic medium. So there is a lot of controversy about that term. There's a lot of mediums and medium teachers that I know that do not like us to use that term. I like to use the term because some of my mentors call themselves psychic mediums. Some of my mentors call themselves mediums. I like to use it because it tells you what I am. I am a psychic and a medium. A psychic is a person who can read energy. So I can read the energy of a house, the energy of an object, the energy of someone's thoughts, the energy of a place. I can do that. But as a medium, I can also communicate with the other side being your deceased loved ones, angels, archangels, ascended masters, spirit guides. I can communicate with those beings. So when someone says they're a psychic and a medium, they're saying that they can do all of these things. There are mediums that do use psychic ability, like a clairvoyance and clairaudience and telepathy and psychometry. And there are also some psychics who are not mediums. I've met some psychics who are not mediums. They do not communicate with the other side. They don't get messages from people. They can just feel and sense and know energy. So I hope that helps, Pete. Jen says, oh man, I've been feeling that with people too lately, getting the vibe before they show or do something. Yeah. A lot of you, this is why I do these free videos, because a lot of you, I'm noticing, are psychics and mediums. For most of you, you're what we call a natural medium. Now, a natural medium is someone like me who was born with the abilities. So I was seeing, talking, speaking to spirits since I was a child. And then there's some people like my friend Carlos, who is, he calls himself a late bloomer. But what that means is that he didn't come into his abilities until his 30s. So for some of us, we're born with it, where we've been using them, since we were children, natural mediums. And then there's some of us that grow into our mediumship skills through life experiences, as Carlos did. So you would call yourself like a late bloomer or a developing medium, right? That's the kind of mediums that they have out there. So Jen, if you've been feeling the vibe before the ending comes, that is your psychic ability kicking in. Okay. And that's what happens when your psychic ability is charged and ready. It's going to start, it's going to work for you. That's why I do mentorship. Oh, I should drop that in there. I didn't even think about that. Let me find that, guys. Sorry, my bad. I don't know if you can see this. But basically, I do a mediumship mentorship program. This one that's coming up in July is in person at my center at Lotus. So, it's a 6-month mentorship program. We go from July to December, and we basically meet, once a month for class, and then 3 times a month for development circles, either online or in person. I'll just drop the information. But the reason why I'm dropping the information for you guys is, one, it's a very small mentorship program. It's only 16 students, and it's with myself and Carlos. And with this mentorship program, we only have 16 spots and we are halfway filled. But then 2, I'm dropping it because sometimes you want to get development. So there it is. You want to get development because when I answer this question for people are kind of like, why should I get development, Uma? I don't want to become a professional medium. I didn't either. When I started getting development classes in the beginning, it was really just to make sense of my life. And so to like get a handle on things, because it was getting out of hand. And that's the thing. If you have the abilities, you have the abilities. They're not going to go anywhere. They're just there. It's like a tool. So it's kind of like, the way I describe it is like I had this hammer that was around me all the time that was just kind of like picking up and running all over the place. And I was hurting myself and hurting people with this hammer that I was using irresponsibly. So then I decided to get training to figure out like what this was about. And in the training, 10 years of it, I realized I really was a really good medium and a psychic. So then I started working as a psychic and a medium. And that brought me a lot of joy and my clients a lot of joy because of the things that came out of it. So when I recommend mentorship for everyone, it's not because I'm saying everybody should be working as a medium or a psychic. I'm just saying that if you have these abilities, you definitely want to spend time developing it, because it can actually add to your life. It can add to your life. It can bring more peace in. You can start to understand why you feel what you feel and why you know what you know. And that to me brings so much inner peace. So much inner peace. Jen says, it's so cool. At first I was like, what the F am I feeling? Your mentorship is awesome. Aw, thank you, Jen. Yeah, she was from Canada and she took my mentorship online. So thank you for that shout out. And that's the thing. It starts off cool at first, right? Knowing all the things you know, and then you're kind of like, oh, this is heavy stuff. This is really heavy stuff. You know, another thing too that you need to be aware of if you are a psychic or a medium, you are also picking up the energy of the earth. And you have to have allowance and awareness for yourself in that aspect. Because the truth is that we are created to feel and to sense and to know. So when the earth is going through a shift, we're going to pick up on that as well. That could be a good thing and a bad thing. You know, there's days I just kind of like don't want to get out of bed. I'm just like, I can't even today. The energy is so heavy. I can't. Now, I don't want to say it like I'm using it as an excuse. I'm saying it as a way of honoring my internal GPS. Because the thing is I'm not a perfect person. I don't have all the answers. And I work with the energy just the way you guys work with your energy. And the one thing that my line of work has taught me over the years is to really honor the energy where I'm at. If I have energy, I will get a million things done in one day. If I don't have energy, I literally can't get out of bed to brush my hair. Now, I know some of you are already starting to diagnose me and say, oh, she has depression and this, that, and the other. I'm going to ask you that you don't diagnose me or don't diagnose yourselves. What I am going to tell you, though, is that these feelings you honor because this is who you are. And there's so many things going on so many dimensions, in so many energetic levels that you are not 100% constantly aware of. So you have to treat it as such that when I wake up in the morning and I really don't want to get out of bed, I have to honor that. And I have to say, there's other things going on here that I'm not aware of. And I just need to trust. I need to trust the process and trust that my need and desire to want to lie here in this bed is the right choice for me right now. And I'm going to go ahead and do that. Now, I know some of you are going to say, well, what if we have to go to work and stuff like that? I am never going to tell you what to do. That's not the way it works here. I'm telling you what I do, but I'm not going to tell you what you need to do. The only thing I'm going to say is the more you get in alignment with yourself and you follow the energy, the more your life will start to open up and you'll be able to create some superb possibilities for yourself. All right. Are there any questions as I'm halfway through this? Are there any questions you have about psychic or mediumship or life as a psychic and a medium, or any questions about yourself that you're going through that I can assist with? Okay, so far, and I know there's like a delay, so far there's no comments coming in. That's okay. I'll just keep talking. So what else can I share with you about life as a psychic medium? You will, you will have an eccentric personality. If you're really, if you're really honoring it, you will have an eccentric personality. Because when you start to live a life where you're following the energy, you start to tune people out, and all the well-wishers and, you know, naysayers, you start to tune all that out, and you start to follow this path that's been divinely guided for you. So you can look like a real crazy person. Case in point, I had a surgery and a near-death experience in January. When I came out of that, I was so traumatically shook because I literally crossed over to the other side. So when I came back, I was on this like vegetarian diet, no alcohol. I was amazingly clean, just nothing. I wanted nothing. And give it like 6 months. We're in June now. And I'm like, I want a glass of wine. I'm going to have a glass of wine. Well, that didn't go over well with some people. I thought you gave up alcohol. I said, I never said I'm giving up alcohol. I said, in this moment in time, I don't require alcohol. And now that I'm at the beach with my boyfriend, I'd like a glass of wine, please. you know? So when you're following the energy, you can come across as wishy-washy, topsy-turvy, like you don't have any sort of MO, and be ready to be judged for that because you know better. You know better. And what you know is that you're following the energy. It is okay to change your mind. It is okay for those 6 months or 5 months that I was alcohol free. It is okay. And when I go back to being alcohol free, that will be okay too. And when I drink alcohol, that'll be okay too. Because the thing is you're following your energy of what your body, your mind, your soul requires. Right. And I'm using like alcohol as an example, but there's so many other things that are less detrimental, you know, about than alcohol. There's just times I've said to people, yes, I'll do this thing. And then when it came time to do the thing, I was like, you know what? No, I don't want to do it anymore. My mind's changed. The energy's not there. I don't want to do it anymore. It's taken me my first book. It took me 2 weeks to write my first book. The energy was there. I got knocked out in 2 weeks. This second book, you know, I just wrote a chapter today. I still have like 11 more chapters to go, but it's taking me 6 months to write this so far. I don't even know how much longer it's to write this book. So when you follow the energy and you're living a life from that place, then you're going to have a chaotic schedule because you're going to not be following a timeline. Time is linear, it's not linear, right? You're going to be following the energy of a thing. So Pete said, rewards. What are the rewards of being a psychic and a medium? Personally, I can talk a lot about the disadvantages about being a psychic and medium because it's so much balancing that you have to do. Personally, my personal life, my benefit is the connection I have to spirit. I tend to make a lot of decisions consulting them, not a coach or a family member or a friend or my boyfriend or anything like that. I tend to go to them first and get their advice. And I have such a good working relationship with them that I trust what they're saying to me. So personally, I like that reward of being able to hear, see, and know them clearly, and then understand the messages as they come through for me. Professionally, the biggest reward is giving people these healing sessions. Every time I provide a message for someone, it's healing. Whether it's news they want to hear or not, it's healing. So somebody can call me about a relationship, and through the cards or through their spirit guides, they can be told, this is not the relationship for you. But it's done in such a beautiful, easy way that my clients aren't hurt. They're not disheartened. They understand. And they feel comforted by the fact like, okay, it's good for me to know this now before I get my feelings too much involved than to, really go down this road and be further hurt or whatnot. So I like the healing aspect that comes from the messages that I give people. I've seen some really amazing things happen, just life-changing things happen through these messages and these communications. So I would say that's the greatest benefit. Jen says, that's me. I'm mostly plant-based, but I definitely go through times when I will eat some chicken or a small steak. Yeah. Yeah. And I love that about you, Jen, that you're just able to flow with that. And that's the thing for me is like, I don't think we as infinite beings came to this planet to just be stuck in some corner or stuck in some sort of ritual. I think we came to flow and then to allow ourselves to see, sometimes we flow too much, right? Sometimes we flow too much and we're like, wait a minute, I need to call back here. And then sometimes we're kind of like, you know what? I'm doing okay in this flow. I'm doing really good and I feel good and people feel good around me. So it's all, a balancing act of how far do you go and then how much do you remain? Peggy said, how do you open the channels when you've blocked them? I have a firm belief, Peggy, in that your channels open up when your soul is ready. I directly link your psychic and mediumship ability opening to when your soul is ready. Because what I've noticed at my center is that men and women tend to come to me or find me in my center, usually when they hit around 30s to 50s, that 20-year span between like late 30s to early 50s. is when people tend to find me, because that's around the time their soul has gone through enough life lessons and experiences that they're ready for the next step, which is the inner knowing. You know, like you have to go through all these experiences in life to develop the outer knowing. And then after you've done all of that, then you come to this desire to know more about the inner knowing. So when you have channels that you've blocked, maybe you've shut them down when you were younger, or maybe you shut them down because you were afraid, just trust your spirit to say to you, we're going to open up when we're ready. And, you know, you can do things to help that opening. You can take classes, you can meditate, you can, read books, anything that, that it will help. Those things are all very helpful, but it really ultimately comes down to your soul wanting to have the opening happen. You know, it's kind of like an evolution of yourself. That was a really good question too, Peggy. Thank you. So anyone else have questions for me? I mean, you got a professional medium and psychic here. What do you want to know? What do you want to know that is not book learning, that is coming from someone's actual experience? It's the best way I can ask that question to you. I always recommend, as you guys are joining in, I see some more people joining in. I always recommend mentorship. I've been mentored by some of the greatest mediums and psychics in the world. And man, it's just been rewarding. It's been rewarding to see where I was and where they took me. It's truly amazing. The way I like to describe mentorship is, it's like if you have a transistor radio. When you are trying to do it on your own, you're going to the radio and you're going back and forth between channels trying to find the station, right? I know I'm dating myself by talking about this radio thing, but when you have a mentor in your life, it's like they go right to the radio. They already know the channel. They already know where to turn to because they've been there before. They've been there many, many times. So they go there and in one quick, swift move, they get you to the channel that you want to get to very easily. So with me, with mentorship, I did not waste a lot of time, because when I was doing it on my own, I found like I wasted a lot of time. And then there were still questions I needed answers to that I couldn't answer. So when I started getting mentorship, it just cut down so much of that unknowingness. And it gave me people that already did what I wanted to do. So it gave me perspective on things and really helped me get to where I needed to go to. Jen says, sometimes for me, it's hard to distinguish if I'm feeling my own feels or someone else's earth energy. Yeah. You know, there's a saying in Access, I do Access bars, Access consciousness. And there's a saying in Access that 98% of the things we feel are actually belonging to other people or to the earth. 98%, because we're so super sensitive, super psychic. We don't even give ourselves credit for that. What we're feeling, 98% of it belongs to someone else. So here's a little thing that you guys can do, that I do when I'm feeling, if I'm having a good day and then I just all of a sudden start to feel real like wah, 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 I ask myself, does this belong to me or does this belong to someone else? And immediately I'll hear, yes, it belongs to me, or no, it belongs to someone else. 9 out of 10 times it is no, it belongs to someone else. Okay. And then I just clear it. And how I clear it is I say, return to sender, return to sender, return to sender with loving consciousness attached. Because what it means is that somebody has displaced energy on me, or I picked up energy of someone else. And I just send it back to them because, one, it doesn't belong here, it doesn't belong on me. So I send it back to them, but I send it back with loving consciousness attached, because I don't want them to hurt or be in pain. I just don't want to handle the stuff that they really need to handle that I mistakenly took on. So try that, Jen, and let me know how that works. If you guys right now, if you want to try it right now, just tap into the feeling that you're feeling and say, does this belong to me or does this belong to someone else? And if it belongs to someone else, just say, return to sender, return to sender, return to sender with loving consciousness attached, you know, and that should help. By the way, those of you that are watching me, whether you're watching me live or recorded, can you please like my video to show your support? I believe you have to kind of minimize the chat box, and then you can find the little thumbs up sign to like my video. I really appreciate it. Are there any more questions for me in this live Q&A? Well, I came on here really just to chat with you guys because I think it's important for those of you that are developing to have working mediums and working psychics be available to you. So yes, I get paid to do the work that I do, but I try to do as many free things as I can, whether they're free lectures, free talks, free Q&As, free readings, just to give you guys other outlets as well. So if you like the stuff that I do, please feel free to follow me on Facebook. I tend to do a lot of postings on Facebook about a lot of things that I have going on. So you can just find me by my name, which is Uma Alexandra Deepat. You can Google that on Facebook and find me there. And I have a lot of groups and pages that I can link you to. And also when I'm just putting up events, you can find me there as well. I'll also drop a link here. Yeah, Pete, I love to give back. I am, for those of you that don't know, I am a Life Path 9, which is the humanitarian. So a lot of me requires, like I have a need and desire to just give back as much as I make. It makes me feel very happy and, to be of service in that way. I just dropped a link, a meetup link. This is the group that I have on Meetup. It's called The Lotus in the Light. Meetup is a website where it allows us to post our events coming up. So you can join my meetup group, The Lotus in the Light. I usually do about 20 to 30 events a month, honestly. So most of them are they're split between being in person, which is my centers in Northern Virginia, or online. So even if you're not in Northern Virginia, you can still join my group because I have a lot of online events and you can check them out. I have a lot of free events that come up. I have a lot of paid events. That's how I make my living. I do this full time. So please feel free to join my meetup group. Find me on Facebook and friend me and stay in touch. I am here. I am helpful. I will tell you that I do not take private chats because sometimes I'll get people write me private chat and say, hey, can you explain what this happened with this chakra? Or can you explain this dream to me? The thing is that I don't do, because I get so many messages on Facebook and, LinkedIn and all this other stuff that I don't have time to do that. That's why I do these free chats. So if you have a question for me, just be like, Uma, when's your next free chat? And I'll let you know. And then come with your questions and I'm happy to answer them. This is the format. This is the forum for me to answer them. Thanks, Jen. I think you're pretty amazing too. Thank you, Peggy. Hi, Brienne. Joining your meetups is bringing me closer to my callings. Yay! I love that. And Brienne, I don't know if you saw, but I posted above about my Mediumship Mentorship program. It is coming up with Carlos, the fantastic medium. And that is coming up in July. So I'm going to post it again. We have a few spots left. We are halfway filled. We're only taking 16 people to honor the whole COVID-19 and social distancing. So, it's going to be a very small class. And I hope that I can see some of you in it because I love working with people one-on-one. If somebody asks me, what's the difference between mentorship and then just taking like these little classes you offer, Uma, it's really connection. I really get to be connected more to the students that take my mentorship programs because when I see students in a class that's like for an hour or like this, that's just like an hour talk, I get to know you guys, but like a little bit. And then there's so many of you that I don't really get to know you. But then when you do mentorship with me, I really get to see you in your element and I get to see you, in what you are. And I love helping in that aspect because I have helped so many of these healers in my area step onto their calling and onto their path. That's why I have 3 mentorship programs: Intuitive Mentorship 1, Intuitive Mentorship 2, and now the Mediumship Mentorship 1. So I have 3 mentorship programs and I love doing mentorship because it allows me to see a person where they're at, where they want to go, and then I can help them and really commit my time to helping them get there. So if you guys are in the area, please feel free to check it out. All right. Much love to you guys. Thank you so much for joining me on this night for this chat. I'm going to sign off now. And just again, want to say thank you and hope that I get to be in touch with some of you at some point in time.